As e-bikes are increasing in popularity, a new law sets clearer rules on
The moment you unbox your first e-bike, something happens. You get so excited that you just skip everything. The manual goes in the bin, the settings get ignored, and you ride off thinking you've figured it all out. But here's the cold hard truth. The way you configure your e-bike on day one can quietly destroy your battery, trash your motor, wreck your range, and even get you in legal trouble. Today we are going over 12 e-bike settings that most riders get completely wrong from the very first ride. Setting 1. Pedal assist level, starting too high. Alright, so the most common mistake we see from brand new e-bike riders, and honestly, it is so simple that it almost hurts to talk about. The very first thing most riders do when they get on their new e-bike is crank the pedal assist level all the way up to the highest setting. Level 5. Maximum power. Full send. And look, we completely understand the temptation. You just spent good money on this machine and you want to feel every single watt of that investment on your very first ride. Who wouldn't, right? But here's the problem. Running your pedal assist at the highest level from day one is one of the fastest ways to absolutely demolish your battery range and put serious stress on your motor from the jump. Think of it this way. Pedal assist level 5 is like driving your brand new car in 5th gear from a dead stop every single time. It works, technically, but everything underneath the hood is working overtime to compensate, and over time that takes a toll. Now, the pedal assist system on most modern e-bikes typically runs on a scale from 1 to 5 or sometimes 1 to 9, depending on the brand and model. Level 1 gives you a gentle nudge. Level 5 gives you the feeling that a very enthusiastic, invisible person is pushing you from behind at all times. And while that sounds incredible, and honestly it kind of is, what most riders don't realize is that each level up dramatically increases the draw on your battery. In fact, the difference in battery consumption between pedal assist level 3 and pedal assist level 5 is not small. We are talking about a range reduction that can swing anywhere between 20 and 40%, depending on your terrain, your weight, and the specific motor system on your bike. So if your e-bike is rated for 50 miles of range and you are blasting around on level 5 the whole time, do not be shocked when you are walking it home at mile 28. The smart move, especially in those first few rides, is to start at level 2 or level 3. Learn how your bike actually responds. Get a feel for how the motor assists your natural pedaling, then work your way up gradually as you understand the relationship between your effort and the motor's contribution. Your battery will last longer per ride, your motor will run cooler, and you will actually enjoy the riding experience a whole lot more because you will not be running out of juice halfway through your commute. Trust the process on this one. Setting 2. Wheel size configuration. This one catches a surprising number of riders off guard, and the reason it matters more than people think comes down to something really fundamental: accuracy. When you first set up your e-bike's onboard computer or display unit, one of the first things it will ask you to input or confirm is your wheel size. And most riders either guess, ignore it completely, or just accept whatever default value is already loaded in the system. Big mistake. Massive mistake, actually. Here's why this matters so much. Your e-bike's computer uses the wheel size setting to calculate everything: your speed, your distance, your cadence, your range estimation. Every single number that shows up on that display is derived from how many rotations your wheel completes and what circumference the system thinks that wheel has. If that number is wrong, everything is wrong. You could be cruising along thinking you are doing 20 miles per hour when you are actually doing 23. You could think you have covered 30 miles when you have actually covered 34. Now that might sound like no big deal, but here's where it gets genuinely problematic. In many countries and states, e-bikes are legally capped at a certain assisted speed. In the United States, for example, Class 2 e-bikes are capped at 20 miles per hour, and Class 3 e-bikes are capped at 28 miles per hour. If your wheel size is misconfigured and your display is reading low, your motor's speed limiter could be kicking in at the wrong actual speed. You could be exceeding the legal limit without even knowing it, and your display would be happily showing you a number that says otherwise. The fix here is simple, but it requires a tiny bit of homework. Look up the exact wheel circumference for your specific tire size, not just the diameter, the circumference. A 26-inch wheel and a 26-inch wheel with a fat 4-inch tire have meaningfully different circumferences, and that difference matters to your computer. Most manufacturers provide this information in the manual that you definitely did not throw away. We are not judging. We are absolutely judging. Go fish it out. Setting 3. Maximum speed limit. Oh boy. Okay, so this is where things get a little spicy, and we want to be very clear right from the start. We are not here to tell you to break the law. What we are here to do is make sure you understand exactly what this setting does, why it exists, and why messing with it incorrectly can create serious problems for you as a rider. Most e-bikes come from the factory with a maximum assisted speed already programmed into the controller. This is the speed at which the motor stops assisting your pedaling. In the US, the standard limits are 20 miles per hour for Class 1 and Class 2 bikes, and 28 miles per hour for Class 3. In Europe, the limit is even lower at about 15.5 miles per hour, which is 25 kilometers per hour. These limits exist for safety and legal compliance reasons, and they are baked into the bike's firmware by default. Now here is the setting most riders get wrong. A huge number of e-bikes on the market, particularly those coming from budget manufacturers, ship with the speed limit set incorrectly for the market they are being sold in. Some ship with European speed limits even when they are being sold in the United States. So an American buyer gets their brand new e-bike, takes it out for a ride, and the motor cuts out at 15.5 miles per hour, and they think something is broken. Nothing is broken. It is just misconfigured for your region. On the flip side, some bikes arrive with no meaningful speed cap at all, and riders just ride without ever checking. This is where you can very quickly find yourself in legal gray territory, especially if you are riding on bike paths or in jurisdictions with strict e-bike classifications. Check your speed settings on day one. Match them to your local regulations. This takes about 3 minutes, and it could save you a very awkward conversation with a police officer at some point down the road. Setting 4. Battery cutoff voltage. Alright, we are about to get slightly technical here, but stay with us because this one is genuinely one of the most important settings on your entire e-bike, and almost nobody talks about it. Your e-bike's battery management system has something called a low voltage cutoff setting. This is the voltage level at which the controller tells the motor to stop drawing power from the battery in order to protect the cells from being completely drained. Most lithium-ion batteries used in e-bikes operate in a voltage range of about 2.5 volts to 4.2 volts per cell. Discharging a lithium-ion cell below 2.5 volts causes permanent chemical damage to that cell. That damage is irreversible. Your battery never fully recovers from it, and over time, you will notice your range getting shorter and shorter even on a quote-unquote full charge. Now here's the part where day one riders go wrong. Many budget e-bikes and even some mid-range ones arrive with the low voltage cutoff set too low from the factory. The manufacturer pushes it down to make the bike's range look more impressive on paper. More usable voltage range equals more miles on the spec sheet equals more sales. But what it really means for you is that your battery is regularly being pushed into a zone that shortens its overall lifespan significantly. The ideal low voltage cutoff for most e-bike lithium-ion packs is around 3 volts per cell. If your bike's system allows you to adjust this setting, or at the very minimum view it, check it on day one. If you cannot find it in your display settings, it is worth calling your manufacturer and asking directly what the cutoff voltage is set to. Your battery pack might cost anywhere from $300 to $800 to replace. Spending 5 minutes checking this setting on day one is the easiest investment you will ever make. Setting 5. Throttle mode versus pedal assist mode. Okay, we are going to take a quick breath from the technical deep dive because this one is more about riding behavior than firmware, and honestly, it trips up just as many riders. Most e-bikes that come equipped with a throttle give you the option to operate in pure throttle mode, pure pedal assist mode, or a combination of both. And a shocking number of riders just pick one and never think about it again. Usually throttle mode because it feels like the fun one. And look, throttle mode is fun. We are not going to pretend otherwise. But here is what happens when you default to throttle mode for every single ride. Your battery drains significantly faster because the motor is doing all of the work with zero contribution from your legs. Your motor runs hotter because it is under constant load without the natural rhythm of cadence-based assistance. And perhaps most importantly, you lose the single greatest advantage of owning a pedal assist e-bike, which is the ability to get actual exercise while still arriving at your destination without looking like you swam there. The smarter approach for most everyday riders is to use pedal assist as your primary mode and reserve throttle for specific moments, starting from a standstill, climbing a steep section, or when you are genuinely tired and just need a little extra help. Think of your throttle less like a gas pedal and more like a turbo boost button. It is there when you need it. It should not be running all the time. Setting 6. Motor power output. Some e-bikes, particularly higher-end models and many bikes coming out of the Chinese manufacturing sector right now, give you the ability to adjust the actual power output of your motor through the display settings. This is expressed in watts, and it is separate from your pedal assist level. Think of pedal assist level as how eagerly the motor responds to your pedaling and motor power output as the ceiling of how hard it can actually work. Many riders who discover this setting immediately turn it up to the maximum because more power equals more better, right? And sometimes that is true, but what most riders do not consider is that running your motor at maximum power output constantly generates significantly more heat, and heat is the #1 enemy of electric motors and battery packs alike. Consistent overheating over time causes winding damage in the motor and degrades battery cell chemistry faster than almost any other factor. The general recommendation from most e-bike engineers and technicians is to run your motor at around 70 to 80% of its maximum rated output during normal everyday riding. Save the full power setting for situations where you genuinely need it. Heavy cargo loads, steep sustained climbs, or when you're late and the universe is testing you personally. Your motor will run cooler, last longer, and deliver more consistent performance over the lifespan of the bike. Setting 7. Display brightness and auto-off timer. Okay, this one is admittedly a little less dramatic than destroying your battery chemistry, but it matters more than you think, so bear with us. Almost every e-bike display unit has adjustable brightness settings and an auto-off timer that controls how long the display stays on when the bike is not actively being ridden. Most riders leave the brightness cranked all the way up because the display is easier to read in sunlight. Totally understandable. But running maximum display brightness draws a small but constant power load from your battery. Over the course of a long ride, this nibbles away at your range in a way that most riders never account for. It is not enormous, but on a bike that is already range limited, every percentage point matters. The auto-off timer is the bigger issue though. Riders who leave their display auto-off timer set to a long duration or turned off entirely, and then forget to manually power down the display after a ride are quietly draining their battery every single time. Lithium-ion batteries do not love sitting at low charge levels, and a parasitic draw from a display left on overnight can push your pack into a lower state of charge than you realize. Set your auto-off timer to somewhere between 2 and 5 minutes. It takes 10 seconds to configure, and it is one of those settings that just runs quietly in your favor forever after. Setting 8. Regenerative braking. Sensitivity. Regenerative braking is one of those features that sounds incredibly cool in the marketing material and then completely confuses riders the moment they actually try to use it. If your e-bike is equipped with regenerative braking, and not all of them are, this tends to be more common on hub drive motors. Then you have a setting somewhere in your display menu that controls how aggressively the system recaptures energy when you brake or coast. Here is where riders get it wrong in two completely opposite directions. Some riders turn regenerative braking all the way up, thinking they are maximizing efficiency, and then spend their entire ride being surprised by how much drag and resistance they feel when they stop pedaling. It feels like riding with the brakes partially on the whole time, and it makes for an exhausting and, frankly, unpleasant riding experience. The other group ignores regenerative braking entirely, leaves it at 0, and never recovers a single watt of energy for the entire life of the bike. The sweet spot for most riders is a medium regenerative braking setting, enough to recover meaningful energy on descents and when approaching stops, but not so aggressive that it interferes with your natural riding flow. Think of it as tuning a guitar. A little tension is good, too much, and something snaps. Setting 9. Tire pressure sensor calibration. Not every e-bike has a built-in tire pressure sensor, but for those that do, this is a setting that riders almost universally ignore on day one and then complain about the consequences for months afterward. Here's the thing about tire pressure in e-bikes that is slightly different from regular bicycles. Because e-bikes are heavier, often significantly heavier, with some models tipping the scales at over 70 pounds, the correct tire pressure for an e-bike is typically higher than what you might run on a regular bicycle of the same wheel size. Running your tires underinflated on an e-bike creates rolling resistance. Rolling resistance steals range. On a pedal-only bike, you would feel that resistance in your legs and naturally compensate by pumping your tires up. On an e-bike, the motor compensates for you and you never feel the resistance directly. You just notice that your range seems shorter than it should be, and you spend 3 weeks convinced your battery is defective when really you just need to add 10 psi to your tires. If your bike has a pressure sensor, calibrate it to the correct recommended pressure for your specific tire and your body weight on day one. If it does not have a sensor, invest in a decent floor pump with a gauge and check your tire pressure before every single ride. This is not complicated. It is just the kind of thing nobody tells you. Setting 10. Charging cutoff percentage. This is the big one. If you only fix one setting after watching this video, make it this one. And we genuinely mean that. The single most impactful thing you can do to extend the lifespan of your e-bike battery is to stop charging it to 100% every single time. We know, it feels wrong. It feels like you are leaving money on the table. You paid for a 50-mile range battery, and charging it to 80% feels like you are only getting 40 miles. And yes, in the short term, that is technically true. But here is the long-term picture that changes everything. Lithium-ion battery cells experience something called calendar aging and cycle aging. Calendar aging happens just from the passage of time. Cycle aging happens every time you charge and discharge the battery. And here is the critical part. The rate of cycle aging accelerates significantly when the battery is consistently held at very high states of charge. Keeping a lithium-ion cell at 100% charge for extended periods creates internal stress in the cell chemistry that permanently reduces its capacity over time. Most battery engineers and researchers agree that the ideal charge window for maximizing lithium-ion battery lifespan is between 20% and 80%. Some go as far as saying 20 to 85%, but the principle is the same. Charging to 80% and not letting it drop below 20% before recharging can extend your battery's useful lifespan by anywhere from 30 to 50% compared to riders who charge to 100% every night and run it down to zero regularly. Now here is where the setting comes in. Many modern e-bike chargers and some onboard battery management systems allow you to set a charging cutoff percentage. If your charger or bike has this feature, find it on day one and set it to 80% for everyday use. Reserve the full 100% charge only for days when you genuinely need maximum range. This one setting, properly configured from the start, could mean the difference between your battery lasting 3 years and lasting 5 or 6 years. At $300 to $800 for a replacement pack, that is a genuinely significant saving. Setting 11. Cadence versus torque. Sensor mode. Here is a setting that most riders have never even heard of, and yet it fundamentally changes the entire feeling of riding an e-bike. Understanding the difference between cadence sensing and torque sensing, and knowing which mode your bike is running in, is the difference between an e-bike that feels natural and intuitive and one that feels laggy, jerky, and frankly a bit annoying. A cadence sensor detects whether you are pedaling and how fast. When it detects pedaling, it switches the motor on. When you stop pedaling, it switches the motor off. Simple. It is like a light switch. Pedaling equals motor on, not pedaling equals motor off. The problem with pure cadence sensing is that the motor response can feel sudden and unnatural because the system is not actually reading how hard you are pedaling, just whether you are pedaling at all. A torque sensor, on the other hand, actually measures the force you are applying to the pedals and adjusts the motor's assistance proportionally. Pedal hard and the motor gives you a lot of help. Pedal gently and the motor gives you a gentle nudge. It mirrors your effort, and the result is a riding experience that feels dramatically more natural, more intuitive, and frankly more like an extension of your own body rather than a machine assisting you from outside. Some e-bikes give you the ability to switch between cadence and torque sensing modes in the display settings. Many riders on day one either do not know this option exists or leave it on whatever the default is without experimenting. If your bike has torque sensing capability, try it. Ride in torque mode for a week and then go back to pure cadence mode. The difference will feel immediately obvious, and chances are very good you will never go back. Setting 12. Geofencing and walk mode settings. We get to two settings that riders either completely forget about or accidentally activate and then spend a weekend confused about why their bike is behaving strangely. Walk mode first, because this one is simpler. Walk mode is a setting available on most modern e-bikes that limits the motor to a very slow assisted speed, typically around 3 to 4 miles per hour, designed to help you push the bike while walking alongside it. It is an incredibly useful feature when you are navigating a crowded area, walking upstairs, or wheeling the bike through a narrow doorway. The problem is that some riders accidentally activate walk mode, do not realize it is on, and then spend their first ride thinking something is catastrophically wrong with their motor because the bike refuses to go above 4 miles per hour. Check your walk mode setting, know how to activate it and deactivate it before you ever need it. Geofencing is the more complex of the two, and honestly, it is a setting that is becoming increasingly relevant as e-bike technology advances. Some higher-end e-bikes, particularly those sold through fleet operators, subscription services, or corporate mobility programs come with geofencing capabilities built into the controller. Geofencing creates virtual geographic boundaries, and when the bike detects it has crossed one of those boundaries, it can automatically reduce the motor's power output or disable assistance entirely. The problem for individual buyers is that some of these bikes end up on the secondhand market with geofencing settings still active from their previous operator. A rider buys what looks like a perfectly normal e-bike, takes it home, and then discovers that it mysteriously loses power in certain neighborhoods or at certain times of day. If you are buying a secondhand e-bike, especially one that appears to have come from a fleet or rental context, specifically ask the seller about geofencing and check your settings on day one. It is one of those invisible issues that can make a perfectly good bike feel completely broken. And there you have it, 12 e-bike settings that most riders get completely wrong on day one. Now here's the thing that ties all of this together. None of these mistakes are the rider's fault exactly. E-bike manufacturers do a genuinely poor job of walking buyers through proper setup and configuration at the point of purchase. The industry as a whole is still young, still maturing, and still figuring out how to communicate these things clearly to everyday consumers who are not engineers or technology enthusiasts. They just want to ride their bike. But the good news is that every single one of these settings is fixable. Most of them take less than 5 minutes to address, and once they are configured correctly, you can genuinely forget about them and just focus on the part that actually matters, which is getting out there and riding. If this video helped you out, hit that like button because it genuinely helps more riders find this kind of information before they make these mistakes instead of after. Subscribe if you want more no-nonsense e-bike content, and drop a comment below telling us which of these 12 settings you had wrong on your own bike. We are going to guess setting 10. It is always setting 10. See you in the next one.